Come thou fount of every blessing, tune my heart to sing thy grace.
Hello and welcome to our second
Streams
episode of Retain, Revise, or Retire. So today we're going to be talking about hymns 4, 5, and 6. So to refresh your memory, that is number 4, Truth Eternal, number 5, High on the Mountaintop, and 6, Redeemer of Israel. So we'll go through those three, and then I've got a recommendation about a song that I would like to see in the new hymn book. So I'll introduce that one to you as well. As always, please, in the comments, let me know what you think. You know, I am open to all sorts of opinions. My first video got some great comments that highlighted things that I hadn't even considered, that were really, really good suggestions. And I'm like, oh yeah, I totally agree with that. So, you know, even if you disagree with me, that's totally fine. Just put that down in the comments. All right, so let's dive right in. Number 4, Truth Eternal. So this one you may not be quite as familiar with. I don't think it's sung quite as much. It is by Parley P. Pratt, and the music is by Alexander Schreiner, who was a tabernacle organist for many years. So some big names on that. But it goes like this. Truth eternal, truth divine, in thine ancient fullness shine, burst the fetters of the mind from the millions of mankind. See, I don't know it very well, right? It's not done very often. So this one, it's got a nice message. It has a nice message about the restoration. But I feel like this is one of those that's kind of showing its age as the words. Like, we don't often say, burst the fetters of the mind. It's a little bit, I don't know, old-fashioned in that way. Endless ages own its sway, clad in everlasting day. It's very poetic, and that's pretty, but I don't know that it resonates as much as it maybe could with the membership of the church. And I think it's going to be kind of a hard one to translate into other languages as well, and that's a big part of it. So we're looking for those 6 things. That's how I'll talk a little bit more about those as we go along. But we're talking about, you know, is it going to build faith? Yes, it will. But is it going to be singable and accessible to a lot of people? I think maybe this one is just, you know, there's other restoration hymns that I think do this a little bit better. Actually, the next 2 songs we're going to talk about, I think, do this a little bit better. So this might be a controversial opinion. I don't know if you really love this one, but this one isn't near and dear to my heart or anything. So I'm going to say retire on this one. But no, if you feel differently, that's totally fine. All right, so now let's go on to High on the Mountaintop. All right, High on the Mountaintop. High on the mountaintop, a banner is unfurled. Ye nations now look up, it waves to all the world. In deserts, sweet peaceful land, on Zion's mount, behold it stand. Wonderful music. It's an iconic hymn tunes, at least here in Latter-day Saint hymnody. I love the words, and I've got I will admit I do have a little bit of a personal stake in this one. Joel H. Johnson is an ancestor of mine. It was really fun, actually. A few years ago, in the Tabernacle Choir, we put some feelers out, and we figured out how many people in the choir that currently were descendants of Joel H. Johnson. And there was a huge group. It was awesome. There were, 30, 40 people at the time. And so we all got together and took a big picture. So that was neat. So it's kind of like, oh, this musical legacy has moved on. But even if he weren't in my own ancestry, I'd say the text is just wonderful. It's talking about various aspects of the restoration. God remembers still the promise made of old, talking about the covenants with the house of Israel. His house shall there be reared, his glory to display. And talking about all nations flowing to the house of the Lord. Talking about the temple. And to save ourselves with all our dead. That it has that doctrine in there. We're talking that's so specific to Latter-day Saint theology. It's where we can't be made perfect without our ancestors, without our dead, and they can't be made perfect without us. So that we need to create this link that saves both us and those on the other side of the veil. I think that's wonderful. It highlights specifically Latter-day Saint theology, and I think it's a beloved hymn too. Honestly, at least here in the United States, it's sung all the time. It's featured in General Conference all the time. So that being said, I think I would change one thing. I really like if we're doing a choir version where we have the cool all right, the sopranos start and they go in deserts, and then the tenors go, they wait 2 notes and go in deserts, they come in at different times. I would change the arrangement a little bit to make it a little bit more accessible for congregational singing. I think in most hymns, the congregation used to sing, okay, everybody sings all the time. And they're not going to be if you're not very good at reading sheet music and they're like, okay, wait, I'm supposed to come in later but use the same words. It's just a little bit confusing, I think, for the congregation. If you're a musician, that's no big deal. But for the rank and file of the church, no, not everybody are trained musicians, and so I would just tweak it just a little to make it a little more accessible. So this one I'm going to say revise, but definitely do not retire. That's one I think we need. Okay, and finally, another perennial favorite is Redeemer of Israel. All right, this is another one that is just iconic. Also a W.W. Phelps. A lot of these restoration hymns are W.W. Phelps. But it's adapted from another text by Joseph Swain that you might not know. That's been adapted into other songs. Some that we sang with the Tabernacle Choir, actually. Especially the last verse, he looks and 10,000s of angels rejoice, and myriads wait for his word. He speaks in eternity, filled with his voice, re-echoes the praise of the Lord. But it's called His Voice is the Sound, is the one that the Tabernacle Choir sings, but we sing those same words. That he looks and 10,000s of angels rejoice, and myriads wait for his word. It's got that kind of minor feel. It's really cool. But this was kind of a cousin to that. It was based on that same text, then added to by W.W. Phelps. So, Redeemer of Israel, our only delight, on whom for our blessing we call, our shadow by day and our pillar by night, our King, our deliverer, our all. Just wonderful. I love especially, and thinking about the last days where it talks about how long we have wandered as strangers in sin and cried in the desert for thee. Our foes have rejoiced when our sorrows they've seen, but Israel will shortly be free. And then it goes into the 4th verse. As children of Zion, good tidings for us. The tokens already appear. The signs of the second coming are already happening. Fear not and be just, for the kingdom is ours. The hour of redemption is near. I think that is a perfect message for us living in these latter days, these last days. And I don't really see anything in the music that I would change. It's an iconic tune. It's a soul-stirring tune. I love the arrangement that Tab Choir does with their. It starts with the the brass, kind of a fanfare, and it gets louder, and it kind of builds and builds and builds, and then the choir comes in. It's an iconic hymn that I don't think is going anywhere anytime soon. So I'm going to say retain, definitely. Okay. So those are the three. So I actually had one of each today. One retire, one revise, one retain. And if you don't agree with me, that's totally fine. I'd love to hear your opinions in the comments. All right, but before we go, I want to talk about the song called Blessed Assurance. So this one, it's used in other denominations quite a bit, depending on your denomination. It's by Frances Crosby, sometimes known as Fanny Crosby. She was an extremely prolific hymn writer, and she's written just hundreds and hundreds of hymn texts, and many of which have been set to music. So another famous one that's sung in other churches is called "To God Be the Glory." Also wrote that. To God be the glory, great things He has done, which is, that's a song for another time. But this one is called Blessed Assurance. And I especially love the chorus. This is my story, this is my song, praising my Savior all the day long. This is my story, this is my song, praising my Savior all the day long. And so let's see if you've heard this tune. Blessed assurance, Jesus is mine. Oh, what a foretaste of glory divine, heir of salvation, purchase of God, born of His Spirit, washed in His blood. This is my glory, this is my song, praising my Savior all the day long. This is my story, this is my song, praising my Savior all the day long. So it just has this beautiful, peaceful melody. It's got a great message. I could see it being very singable. The doctrine is good. I think it would make a great addition to our hymn book. So that's my one for this week that I'm going to say, all right, I'm going to put some stock in that one. But who knows? All right, that is all that I have for this week. So just let me know down in the comments what your opinions are. Do you have other takes that I didn't go over? Great. Are there other songs that you hope to see included in the hymn book? Let me know. All right, till next week. This has been Retain, Revise, or Retire. Thanks.